boy is back, 'cause you know he's the white boy.
We've got Twitter allowing the sharing of block lists, apparently shadow banning or limiting accounts, preparing to depornify, and taking cues on abuse prevention from groups founded by abusers, such as OAPI or the Crash Override Network, which conveniently abbreviates to CON. You've got online payment services either refusing to deal with or gouging those who make and sell adult content, whether it be sex toys, porn, or erotica. Then on the sales points that do accept it, it's often relegated to a ghetto, delisted from the also bought list and shoved downwards in the search results. Facebook is famously bad for blocking fine art or breastfeeding pictures, which are an easy sell to point out the ridiculousness, but why not anything goes, with appropriate flagging and content filtering? Why not? Even 4chan, once a bastion of libertine free expression values, has now become a place where saying the wrong thing can get you into trouble. Which brings us, neatly, to Reddit. As recently as 2012, in the wake of various upskirt and jailbait scandals, Reddit was muscularly asserting itself as a bastion of free speech and affirming that they weren't about to ban or control problematic content, only content that broke the law or endangered people. Now something has changed, and most are blaming Chairman Pao for that culture change, or at least as an emblematic totem for describing that change. Perhaps unfair, since she's only an interim person, and one person isn't a whole culture. A handful of subs have been banned: Fat People Hate, Ham Planet Hatred, Transfags, Neofag, and Shit Niggers Say. Mostly these are easy targets, though Neofag, despite the name, was about calling out a shitty website called NeoGAF for their bizarre and risible behaviour. The supposed reason that these are being banned is that they fuel harassment, though the question is then why not deal with the harassment rather than the subs themselves. People in a forum, amongst themselves, saying whatever hateful shit they like doesn't really matter to anyone except themselves. If they're organising there to springboard off and actually harass someone, that's a different matter. But if they're just saying nasty shit amongst themselves, who the fuck cares? So, Reddit doesn't understand their own user base, which seems to be a marginally more civilized version of the same philosophy you'll find at 8chan and prevalent on Twitter. Libertine, anti-censorship tech fetishists, online natives who understand internet culture, and, as such, they're unsurprisingly up in arms. Why are they doing this? People like to say it's social justice warriors, and that's certainly a part of it, but the main driver is probably, actually, depressingly, obviously, and inevitably, money. Companies don't like their adverts to appear next to posts of a bigoted or even fake bigoted bent. They worry about their image, and so they put pressure on content sites to clean themselves up. The trouble is the wrongful assessment of this relationship and the asymmetrical nature of that relationship. Sure, you're selling advertising space, but in order for that advertising space to actually be worth anything, it has to be seen by people. For it to be seen by people, you need an audience. And if your audience does a mass exodus due to censorship, stemming from corporate pressure, then you go into a feedback loop where you're shedding viewers, making your adverts worth even less, and giving corporate even more leverage to piss off more viewers, which in turn lessens the worth of your advertising, and so on. This is the wrong way to look at it. If you imagine a freeway passing over a shitty neighbourhood on its way somewhere important, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people are going to see a billboard that you put in view of that freeway. It doesn't actually matter if the billboard is propped up on a crack house. All that matters is that people see it, but unfortunately when it comes to online spaces, people don't see it that way. Any forum, discussion, or other user-based content site is actually selling digital paper. The idea that it can, or even should, control that content past the very basics is laughable. It's like Basil and Bond, makers of fine notepaper, trying to tell you you can't draw a wang on any paper that has their watermark. It's just nonsense. Okay, so, why the fuck, while I'm ranting about all this, is Red Dead Redemption playing in the background? Well, the overarching theme of Red Dead Redemption is the end of the Wild West, the civilizing of the frontier. It takes men like Marston to make it a livable world, but once they've done all the work, they're surplus to requirements, and the ideas and accomplishments that made that new world possible in the first place are an abomination and an embarrassment. The internet might have emerged from a DARPA project, but it was founded on the principles of free communication, free expression, and the free exchange of ideas as it blossomed via the universities. At the time, these were the values of those academic institutions, the ones that pioneered it, the ideals of those universities. Now you're hard-pressed to find those values being defended even within the universities, what with trigger warnings and all the rest of the nonsense we have to put up with. And the internet? Well, the internet is now being gentrified like a motherfucker. This is a respectable town now. We'll have to close down the whorehouse. We can't have anyone rolling around shit-faced before noon, so we should regulate the saloon. Old Jebediah, the town shit-poster, might be funny and everyone here might know he doesn't mean it, but the train there is going to be bringing in ladies from back east with finer sensibilities, and they might faint, so we'd better lock him up. Maybe you're happy settling things between yourselves, with a brawl or a duel, but now you'll go to jail. Like I say, gentrification is the other analogy. We built an internet of art and debate and freedom, and in so doing we made it worth something. We drove up the property values, so to speak. And then some cunt with an oiled beard shows up and opens a cereal bar. History suggests that this process has a sort of grim inevitability to it, but perhaps it can be resisted. Reddit is a new litmus test of that. Is problematic free speech free in a corporate environment? Should it be? Do we need to bolster a free speech law to cope with private ownership of the public discourse? I reckon we do. Many people disagree, but then that's what makes life interesting.